of controversy. I'm not going to lie, this past weekend. Lots of it, actually. And it kicked off with the first game on Saturday, and it was the AFC Divisional Round between the Chiefs and the Texans. Controversy there. A lot of surprises with the Saturday night game with the NFC Divisional. And then we kicked it off with two snowy and ice-cold games. NFC with a lot of snow where Saquon became a menace and a legend on that day, or even more of a legend than he already is on that day. And then it ended, the divisional round ended with, an AFC matchup in Buffalo for the ages where dropping a football is more common than a lot of people think. We're going to recap everything that happened in the divisional round weekend. What's the problem with these officials? Because we're going to get down to it. I've already said that we needed full-time officials, and now I've about had it. So here will be my rant on these officials and on the officials in football in general. We're going to discuss that. We're going to talk about the coaching changes going around the league because there's been two big ones that just happened this week, as well as the preview predictions for Conference Championship Frenzy and Conference Championship Sunday for the NFC Championship and the AFC Championship happening this Sunday. Guys, welcome to Pigskin Frenzy on this beautiful and chilly Thursday afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joel Norris, and whether you're watching on YouTube, Spotify, Podbean, Apple, or listening on those platforms, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some NFL coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple. All you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X and Instagram. Just type in Pigskin Frenzy, at Pigskin_Frenzy. Follow. Like the page is there. All you got to do is just follow me on there. News and thoughts about college and NFL football. Quiz post or quiz trivia post on Instagram stories. Going to answer today's NFL question today, as well as all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, our website, www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. There you will find all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy on there, including Home and About Me page. Learn more about me as your podcast host. There is a contact info down below, which is going to be a need for Tuesday as we promote at the end of the episode. Name, info, contact. I will get to your question on air or off air if need be. There's also store affiliations pages coming soon, as well as our platforms page. All the platforms I just mentioned on there. Go and listen to that and see which one's your favorite listening style of the show. Just check out our website and keep up to date with Pigskin Frenzy as we keep updating and regularly updating the website. Period and period and period. Guys, NFL Day today on Pigskin Frenzy. We're ready to rock and roll. I'm a little hyped, a tiny bit hyped. Probably a lot hype. I'm going to get a lot hyped here in a little bit because it is a big show. It's a jam-packed show. We got a lot to talk about. We got some coaching changes that have happened. We got some NFL divisional round recaps that we're going to get to here in a little bit. We're going to talk about the upset of the weekend here in a little bit, which caught me by surprise, and a lot of brackets were busted this past weekend. We're going to discuss the coaching changes. We're going to discuss the officials because the officials have gotten on my nerves and gotten on a lot of people's nerves as of late, and we're going to discuss everything and dive deep into everything here on the show there. We're going to preview and predict these conference championships for Sunday and Sunday night because those are doozies, and these are electrifying. We're going to see who is going to Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans for February 9th. In the year of our Lord, 2025. I'm so excited. We're going to just, as we just get closer and closer as we wind down on the season. Guys, the playoffs started with 14 teams. 12 teams played at first, and then we go to 8 with the the number one seeds being, the Lions and Chiefs in their buys, and now they play in the divisional round. Now we're at 4. We're at 4 teams. Went from 14 to 12 to 8 to 4, and we are going to go with 2 in 2 weeks. 2 weeks is Super Bowl 59, and we are getting ready to rock and roll on that. 3 weeks technically, but you know what I mean. It will be 2 weeks come Sunday. 2.5, 3 weeks until the Super Bowl 59 is happening in New Orleans. We're going to cover that game, and it's going to be awesome in New Orleans. Can't wait for that. 2 spots remain. 4 teams are going to vie for it. Let's see who gets it this Sunday. Let's just talk about the divisional round and recap the divisional round, kicking it off with the NFC side of things. you're going to think you're going to go with the NFC side of things, and then you're going to go with a big game first. We got to kick it off with a big game because this was too big of an upset, and we're going to talk about that really quick. We're going to talk about that first. We're going to discuss the other games and go and segue into the officials because that's how we're going to do things on the show, and I think it's better if we do it that way. So let's talk about the biggest upset this weekend, and it was the Commanders and the Lions. You already know we're talking about it. Let's get ready for it as I slam and get ready and write. So let's go with the Commanders and Lions. Commanders, Lions, and I am ready to rock and roll. This game, I picked the Lions to win. I have picked the Commanders to lose twice. And I was like, you know what? Going to be a close game. It's a game that the Lions need to come to play for. But I think the Lions are going to win, right? Joel, he goes 3-1 in his picks. And you're thinking, okay, the Lions, they got it. I'll go 4-0 this weekend. Guess what? This is the game I got wrong. My mouth was dropped. You can hear a pin drop in that stadium. Final score was Commanders 45, Lions 31. Commanders 45, Lions 31, and the Commanders, for the first time in 30-plus years, are in the NFC Championship game under rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels. He is not the first rookie to bring their team to a conference championship, at least on the NFC or AFC side of things. Brock Purdy was the latest in 2023. Jaden Daniels is just going to be the name to add the list. Now, here is a thing, in the words of Chris Collinsworth. Now, here's a guy, but if you want to go in the history books, no quarterback, if you want to look at it, has started a Super Bowl. No rookie has brought their team to a Super Bowl. None. Nada. Jaden Daniels is on the verge of making history if they can pull it out Sunday. So, if they can win Sunday night or Sunday afternoon, the NFC Championship, and they go to New Orleans, they have a shot, and Jaden Daniels has a shot at, adding his name to the history books, being the first ever rookie to start a Super Bowl, and no other rookie quarterback has not even been to a Super Bowl and started a Super Bowl, much less won a Super Bowl. So if he wins a Super Bowl in his rookie year, all hands are on deck. It's probably one of the greatest turnarounds we've seen in football, hands down, and I will say that. Let's talk about the Commanders here in this game. Jaden Daniels was an absolute menace, and he's been a menace all year, but he was a menace in this game, and he showed that you need to fear him. Even though he's a rookie quarterback, you still need to fear him because he's not playing like a rookie quarterback. 22 for 31. 22 for 31, 299 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He also had 51 yards and 16 carries on the ground. Brian Robinson Jr., 77 yards, 2 touchdowns, 15 carries. Austin Eckler, 47 yards, 6 carries. McNichols had a touchdown, 8 yards, 4 carries. Damani Brown, 98 yards, 6 receptions. Terry McLaurin was scary in this game, per usual. 87 yards, 1 touchdown in this ball game, 4 receptions. Austin Eckler, 41 yards, 4 receptions. Zach Ertz, 28 yards, a touchdown, and 5 receptions. Jamison Crowder, 25 yards, 2 receptions. Chin had an interception and 12 total tackles. This defense was just electric. Mikey Stannerstill had... Mikey Stannerstill, the rookie out of Michigan, had 2 interceptions, 4 total tackles. I had to look at the notes on my notes here, but the defense was physical. Quay Martin had an interception, 3 total tackles. Quan Martin had 3 total tackles and interception. Gonzalez nailed field goals. It was just all over the Commanders. The Commanders were just great in this ball game. And the thing is, on paper, the Lions beat them. On paper. In total yardage and everything, Lions had 521 total yards. Commanders had 481. Passing 320 compared to the Commanders 299. Rushing 201 compared to the Commanders 182. Lions had 7.7 yards per play. Commanders had 6.6 yards per play. The positive circle moments were Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, and Damani Brown. This passing attack was lethal. In this game. The passing attack was just on point. Everything was on point. They were getting first down after first down, and they were working yardage on first and second down. For sure. They were creating those explosive plays and getting the ball down the field. Cliff Kingsbury had a good job on game planning in that one, especially on first and second downs because they were eating up yards. Terry McLaurin played good. Jaden Daniels played good. The offensive line held up, and they looked really, really good. The defense for the Lions blitzed. Jaden Daniels was poised, calm, collected, throws a touchdown pass to Zach Ertz before half. And on the sidelines, you would get camera shots and angles of Jaden Daniels, and you would look at him after the Lions would score, and he's just sitting there like, okay, let me go back in there and show him what's what. This guy's not phased at all. Jaden Daniels was the best draft choice for this team. He was clearly the number 2 pick in this draft, and he was probably turning out to be Rookie of the Year. And not only that, he has been an immediate impact, an immediate success, and an immediate difference maker. We were talking about C.J. Stroud last year being a difference maker in his rookie year, right? Bringing him to the playoffs immediately in the divisional round. This is a bigger impact. He's bringing them not only past the divisional round, he's bringing them to an NFC Championship and could bring them to Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. No rookie has started a Super Bowl. Jaden Daniels could eclipse history and be the first. Unbelievable. Unbelievable what Jaden Daniels, Dan Quinn, and Cliff Kingsbury and this coaching staff has done immediately in Washington. An immediate and huge turnaround. They go from the number 2 draft pick to like a very high draft, a very like lower in the 20s and 30s draft pick for this year. What a difference a league year can make. And the Washington Commanders are showing that in this. Those are the positive circle moments. If you want to talk about negative circle moments, I mean, there was not a lot. I mean, another positive circle moment, look, 0 sacks. They protected Jaden Daniels to the 9s. 0 sacks allowed, protected him there. They were 3 for 4 on fourth down. They had a lot of positive circle moments. They beat them in time of possession, 33 minutes compared to the Lions, 26. And then if you want to talk about one negative circle moment, because there was only one, it was the third down efficiency. What they're really good at is converting on third downs. They were 4 for 12. So they got to clean that up Sunday afternoon in the game against Philadelphia, the trilogy against Philadelphia in the NFC Championship. They have to clean that up. If they don't get that cleaned up and settled, then it's going to probably cause a problem in the NFC title game Sunday in Philly. But let's just see. 4 for 12. They got to get that cleaned up. They have to. If they don't get that cleaned up, then I don't know. But they're 6th in third down conversion, so they got to get that right and play like that. But when you're creating explosive plays on first and second down and getting first downs out of that, then you probably don't need the third downs as much. Maybe, I don't know. They're just eating up yards. The Commanders have a date with Destiny Sunday. They have a game. It's literally Sunday afternoon. It's 3 Eastern, 2 o'clock Central on Fox. The NFC Championship. Commanders at Eagles. Commanders have one. Eagles have one. It's a trilogy to see who's going to Super Bowl 59. Commanders at Eagles in Lincoln Financial Field on Sunday afternoon on Fox for the NFC Championship. We're going to preview and predict and cover that game Sunday. Can't wait to do that. Final score was 45-31. The Commanders are for real, man. I picked against them twice. Let's see what happens Sunday. And I was conflicted on the NFC Championship pick. You're going to hear that later on in the episode. Can't wait for that one Sunday afternoon. Let's talk about the Lions. It ends with a what could have been. Now, if you think about, okay, the coordinators had job offers, right? Ben Johnson had a lot of talk from Chicago, from Las Vegas to New Orleans. And then you think of Aaron Glenn. He had New Orleans. He had New York. And a lot of talk about the coaching changes and the coaching staff changes going on after the game. And they had interviews before the playoff game against Washington. It was just, a lot of talk there. And a lot of people are going to say they weren't focused. They weren't focused on this game. Who knows? I mean, I think the offense was running efficiently. I think Aaron Glenn in this game, did the best that he could in terms of trying to stop a mobile quarterback, and he couldn't do it. He's had trouble with mobile quarterbacks. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, to name a few. Jaden Daniels was just another name on that list. So Aaron Glenn probably has to get that right in his coaching strategy when we talk about him later. But the Lions on offense had a heck of a play calling night with Ben Johnson. He did good calling plays. The Lions just beat themselves in a lot of areas, and I think that is what happened in this ball game. I think the Lions offensively could have competed with the Commanders, but the defense for the Commanders stepped up a lot better than the Lions defense did, and the Lions beat themselves on offense in a lot of ways. They had 5 turnovers in this ball game. 5. There was a lot of negative circle moments for the Lions in this game, and it was a disaster that the fans are hurting, and the Detroit Lions fans are hurting because they're thinking, what could have been? Detroit had the team to go to the Super Bowl. They really did. They had the players and the whole coaching staff and the team to win it all, and they're not going to win it all. They are done for the year because of mistakes after mistakes after mistakes in this ball game. Let's talk about it. Jared Goff had 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, 313 yards, 23 for 40. Montgomery had a pass. Williams had a pass. Bridgewater had 3 yards, and he was 1 for 1. Well, those shovel passes and those unique play calls were just unbelievable. Those ate up yards. Jameson Williams, they did a trick play with Jameson Williams where he had an interception because he was doing a flea flicker type play, and it was picked off by the Commanders. And I'll get to that in a minute. Just hold on. I'll get to that in a minute. Jahmyr Gibbs, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jameson Williams had a 61-yard rush on the ground with that reverse sweep. 14 carries for Jahmyr Gibbs. Montgomery had 28 yards, 7 carries. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 137 yards, 8 receptions. Jahmyr Gibbs, 70 yards, 6 receptions. Sam Laporta had an epic one-handed catch. Jared Goff throwing the ball on the ground, pulling a Patrick Mahomes from the Texans game. It was unbelievable. 51 yards, a touchdown, 6 receptions. Khalil Raymond, 37 yards, 3 receptions. You also had Tim Patrick, 22 yards and 1 reception there. And then, Anlazone had 13 total tackles. He was an animal. Jack Campbell, Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, Terry and Arnold all played really, really good in this ball game as well. They played physical up front, but they just made a lot of good tackles, but they just could not get past this passing attack. It just ate them alive. And those big explosive plays, they couldn't stop Jaden Daniels in this offense and Cliff Kingsbury with those explosive plays. They just could not do it all night. They just got beat up on that. If you want to look at the positive circle moments, the defense tried in a lot of areas on that. The offense and the play calling were up to par. Those were positive circle moments for this team. But if you want to talk about, some positives, Jahmyr Gibbs and the rushing was great. 201 yards on the ground. Passing, yards per play, they look good calling plays. And I think that they felt comfortable on offense in a lot of ways. I think those plays were good. I think they called some plays at the wrong time, which caused some turnovers. But if you want to talk about play calling in general, it was good in the game on offense. And that is what was a big positive step in this game for the Lions. Let's talk about the negatives, though. 5 penalties for 30 yards, 5 turnovers, 2 sacks. They were 3 for 9 on third down. Those are the negative circle moments, especially the turnovers. A fumble and 4 interceptions. An interception by Jameson Williams and 3 by Jared Goff. The turnovers were just insane, an insane amount, and you're not going to win a game with 5 total turnovers. You're not. The Lions did earlier against the Texans on Sunday Night Football. I was amazed by that, by the way. They came back and beat Houston in that game. I was like, what? But it's a rarity. All right, you got away with it once. You're not going to get away with it again. And guess what? They didn't get away with it again. And 5 turnovers, it's just a rarity. It's a rarity to do that. Were Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn focused on this game? That's a question that a lot of people have been asking. I've been reading it. I've been seeing it. Were they actually focused on this ball game? I don't know. It's hard to answer. But I will say this. I thought Ben Johnson gave a heck of a game, and he did a heck of a job with the Detroit Lions. He did a heck of a job in his tenure there, and I think that he did really, really good at play calling. besides the turnovers. I thought the turnovers just beat themselves up. Now, Aaron Glenn trying to stop that passing attack was just in shambles. I don't think that he didn't. I think he did his best, but it wasn't good enough. Not hating on Aaron Glenn, and I'm not, shaming him for that. He just has an issue with mobile quarterbacks, and I think that's the problem that he needs to correct with his tenure coming up now as head coach. So if you want to look at Aaron Glenn as a head coach, he needs to figure out a way to stop on defensively stop mobile quarterbacks. Ben Johnson, keep doing what you're doing at play calls because your play calling's working. So you just got to assemble a staff and get everything ready there. I do not know if they were not focused or not, but I will tell you this: they did their best, and the Commanders were just a better team that day. Lions have to rebuild. We'll see what's next for the Detroit Lions. Commanders 45, Lions 31, and the Commanders have a shot at destiny Sunday afternoon against the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. Speaking of the Eagles, that was the only game I got wrong. Speaking of the Eagles, let's close our NFC divisional recap out with the Eagles and the Rams in the snow game on this past Sunday afternoon. I picked the Eagles to win close, and it was close. Final score of this game, and I got it right. Eagles gets the win over the Rams. Got the win over the Rams, 28-22. Eagles 28, Rams 22 in this ball game. How about the Eagles are just inevitable with Saquon, right? Saquon is a difference maker. He is the best running back in the league. I've said that. Why did the Giants let him walk? I do not know. The Saquon each game, and I've said this, each game proves that the Lions were wrong for letting him walk. They were wrong for letting him walk. He's making the Giants eat their words every game that he plays. It's getting worse. It's getting worse each game for the Lions for the Giants fans and for the Giants in general. The Giants should not have let Saquon walk. Hands down. Giants should have let him walk. But that's on Joe Shane and the New York Giants. Okay. Saquon, heck of a game. He had 205 yards and 2 touchdowns. 205 yards, 2 touchdowns, 26 yards. He averaged 7.9 yards per rush. He also had 27 yards and 4 receptions. He is a cold man, and we're not talking about the temperature in Philadelphia this past Sunday. He was the cold man. He did this in the snow. The snow that was hard to see. He did all that. He had literally 205 yards on the ground, 27 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns, 26 carries, and 4 receptions. This man is an absolute animal. Best running back in the league, offensive player of the year for sure, I think, and he is proving it right now. Saquon is a menace. 128 yards, 15 for 20 for Jalen Hurts, 70 yards, 7 carries, and a big touchdown run for Jalen Hurts to start off their opening drive in the game. Good run by Jalen Hurts. Dallas Goedert, 56 yards, 4 receptions. Devontae Smith, 21 yards, 4 receptions. A.J. Brown, 14 yards, 2 receptions. Darius Slay had 6 total tackles. C.J. Gardner-Johnson had 6 total tackles. Zach Bond had 6 total tackles. Reed Blankenship had 6 total tackles as well. Burks had 6 total tackles as well. Isaiah Rodgers had 5 total tackles. Carter had 5 total tackles and 2 sacks as well. Sacks were a big thing, and this defense came up big this past Sunday. So if you want to talk about the game itself, total yards, Rams had more total yards, 402 total yards compared to their 350, 291 passing for the Rams compared to their 65. I thought the Rams weren't going to be able to pass in this game due to the snow, but I was wrong. They did really, really good. 285 rushing for the Eagles compared to the Rams, 111 rushing yards. And they were dead even, both teams at 5.7 yards per play. Here are the cliff notes. Let's talk about the cliff notes for this game. Positive circle moments for this team. Saquon Barkley, obviously, the rushing attack by Hurts and Barkley. They both did good on the ground, and they were an unstoppable force on the ground. They got good chunk plays off on the ground. Hurts averaged 10 yards per rush when he was running the ball. Barkley averaged 7.9 yards per rush. That is insane. And they made Barkley made history on the ground in the snow to advance to the NFC Championship. He is one step closer to making his first ever Super Bowl appearance. They were just good on the ground. I think they were dynamic and physical up front, and they were physical and strong on defense. This Eagles defense is nothing to be messed with. Vic Fangio has been a saving grace at defense for them this season. 5 sacks. 5 sacks and 2 turnovers. 2 turnovers and 5 sacks for this defense. Wow. They were all over the Rams in the snow later in the game for sure. They were all over Stafford. They were all over Stafford in terms of fumbles as well. This defense was all over the field, and they played really, really physical. So this defense was a very good positive circle moment as well for this team. Here are the negative circle moment. One more positive circle moment. 6 for 15 on third down. So not bad on third down either. Let's talk about the negatives. The negatives, I would say, are number 1, 7 sacks. 7 sacks. They allowed 7 sacks in this game. That's a no-go. The Rams have a good defensive line. I understand that. But when you're playing somebody like the Commanders or the Chiefs or the Bills, who the Chiefs averaged 8 sacks in the game earlier against the Texans, we're going to talk about that here shortly. 7 sacks is big. And that's going to add up later in the game and later in the games. And that's going to catch up to you eventually. So you got to protect Jalen Hurts. That's a huge negative and a huge red flag and negative circle moment for this Eagles team. Let's talk about the passing. They need to have a balanced passing attack. I've said that. You have to get A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith going more. It is easy to sit there and say, oh, it was the snow game. They've been doing this a lot all season, especially in the majority of the season. They have ran the ball with Saquon, and I know Saquon's been a force. He's got 2,000-plus yards on the ground, has, history-making season for Saquon Barkley. How are you not going to feed Saquon? I understand that. Yes, set up the run first, but you also have to have a balanced attack in the passing game, and the Eagles are not doing that. You have 3 guys and 3 studs with Dallas Goedert, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith on your team, and you're not utilizing them. You have to utilize them and create a balanced attack, because there's going to be a defense sooner or later that's going to be able to slow down and contain Saquon. I wouldn't say slow him down. Saquon's going to get his, but they're going to be able to contain Saquon. Then what do you got to do? You got to prove that you can balance it out in the passing game and use your passing game to move the ball down the field. You have to do that. Sunday afternoon, you got to do that against this Commanders defense. This Commanders defense is fierce. They are ready, and they're going to game plan around Saquon. So what is your other option in the bag? And that is my biggest flaw with the Eagles right now. They have to fix that. If they do not fix that, what's going to happen? Sunday, or if they make the Super Bowl, what's going to happen? Who knows? They got to get those things cleaned up. But this Eagles team is electrifying, and they get a home game Sunday for the NFC Championship. This is I believe their second or third NFC Championship within the next few years, and it is going second NFC Championship within 3 seasons, and it's going to be good for the Eagles. Commanders at Eagles, Sunday, 3 Eastern, 2 Central on Fox for the NFC Championship for all the marbles. Trilogy bout. Eagles won the first game. Commanders won the second game. And we will see who wins the trifecta for the Super Bowl. Spot is on the line for the NFC Championship Sunday. Let's talk about the Rams really quick before we move on to the AFC recaps. Let's talk about Matthew Stafford and how much of a heck of a job he has done. Like, seriously, 402 total yards, 291 passing, 111 rushing total, 5.7 yards per play. Those are all positive circle moment numbers for this team. Matthew Stafford had 2 touchdowns, 324 yards, 26 for 44. He is 1 in 9 in the snow. He does not have a good record in snow games, but he did his absolute best. Kyron Williams, 19 carries, 106 yards, 5.6 yards per rush. Puka Nacua, 97 yards, 6 receptions. Cooper Kupp, 61 yards, 5 receptions. Demarcus Robinson, 74 yards, 3 receptions. Tyler Higbee had a touchdown, 54 yards, 7 receptions. And then Parkinson had a touchdown, 9 receptions, and 2 receptions. Rosenboom had 8 total tackles. Turner had 6 total tackles and a sack. Jared Verse had 4 total tackles and 2 sacks. Omar Spates had a sack and 6 total tackles. McCullough had 2 total tackles and a sack, and they just kept adding up. 7 sacks for this team total on defense. The positive circle moment was this defense. Defense was 7 sacks, and they played hard and physical and slowed down in a lot of ways. They just couldn't contain Saquon, and that was the only red flag about this defense. But other than that, the passing attack, they were all over this passing attack, and they got to Jalen Hurts a lot. They won the line of scrimmage battle in a lot of ways, especially when it comes to getting to Jalen Hurts. This defense was physical and elite. Sunday, Matthew Stafford did his absolute best in the snow and showed a lot of fight in the passing game. He surprised me when throwing the football. I mean, he had 324 passing yards in this game. He showed a lot of promise in getting the ball down the field to these receivers and kept the game close. And then late in the game, had a late touchdown. The Eagles got stopped again, and then the Eagles gave the ball back to him, and he was driving down the field and almost upset the Eagles until they sacked him late, and then it was nobody home, and he threw the ball away for an incompletion, and the Eagles won the game that way. So Matthew Stafford and these receivers had a lot of positives. They beat the corners out in a lot of areas, and the offense kept going and had some explosive and showed some fight late in the end. So I admire those on positive circle moments. Kyron Williams had a positive circle moment as well, had 106 yards on the ground. He did his absolute best as well. If we talk about the third down efficiency, 6 for 16, not too shabby, not the best, but not too shabby. 1 for 2 on fourth down. If you want to talk about that as well, and those are some positive circle moments for this team. The negatives, 5 sacks. You couldn't protect him well in this game. 5 sacks, and those started adding up in the ball game. They had incompletions. They had 2 crucial turnovers that gave the Eagles the advantage, and those are some negative circle moments for this team. If this is it for Matthew Stafford, I applaud him on a heck of a career, 16 years in this league. I grew up watching Matthew Stafford, man, with the Detroit Lions and the Los Angeles Rams. If this is it for Matthew Stafford, I applaud him. I thank him for what he has done for the league and for each team with the Rams and the Lions and what he has done. He has had a heck of a career, and he has been a very underrated quarterback each season throughout the 16 years. So thank you to Matthew Stafford for everything you have done for both organizations in Los Angeles and Detroit. What a game, and what a note you can end on by playing on paper wise. Now it sucks to end on a loss, but the Stafford has been a remarkable quarterback for this league for the past 16 years. So thank you for everything that you have done. As for the defense for this team, Rams were a battle-tested and dangerous team. I said that all year. I said that on my reel last week on Instagram and on X. And on the show last week, I said that they were a dangerous and battle-tested team, and they proved that. They proved that they were a battle-tested and dangerous team in the league, and they fought until the end, but they just came up short. The weather wasn't in their favor, and the Eagles were a better team, especially on the ground. The Eagles have to face the Commanders for the NFC Championship, and the Rams go home in a close, heartbreaking defeat against the Eagles. So let's get ready for the NFC Championship game here in a little bit. That was the final score, 28-22. The Eagles defeat the Rams. NFC Championship and destiny awaits Commanders and Eagles. Sunday afternoon, NFC Championship, Super Bowl spot on the line. I cannot wait for that one. That was the NFC side of things. Let's talk about the 2 games on the AFC side of things. We'll talk about the rest right after that, because this is what the segue leads into. Let's talk about the Bills and the Ravens. Heartbreaker in Orchard Park, New York, and we're going to discuss that as well. I picked the Bills to win this game. Every game from here on out I've gotten right. I was 3-1 in my picks. Final score of this AFC Divisional Round, Bills 27, Ravens 25. Close game. Very close game. 2-point win for the Bills. 27 Bills, 25 Ravens, and the Bills are going to Arrowhead Sunday night, 5:30 Eastern. 6:30 Eastern, 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central on CBS Sunday night for the AFC Championship game. Rematch time for Josh Allen and the Bills. Let's talk about this game. because earlier in the year, the Bills got smoked by the Ravens in week 4 in Baltimore. This was a revenge game, and the Bills were hungry, and they were ready for this, and they got the win. I think a lot of self-inflicted wounds happened for the Ravens, and we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. Let's talk about Josh Allen. Josh Allen had no touchdowns through the pass, but he had one on the ground. 16 for 22, 127 yards passing. He had 20 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, rushing, and 10 carries on there. 67 yards, 17 carries for James Cook. Ty Johnson, 31 yards, 5 carries. Ray Davis, a touchdown, 29 yards, 4 carries. Khalil Shakir, 67 yards, 6 receptions. James Cook, 15 yards, 3 receptions. Hollins had 12-yard reception. Dalton Kincaid had an 11-yard reception. The passing defense for the Ravens were good. Defensively, they were good as well. Damar Hamlin, a sack in 8 total tackles. Douglas had 6 total tackles. Gregory Rousseau had a sack in 5 total tackles. AJ Espinosa had 6 total tackles. Bernard had 4 total tackles in this ball game as well. And Taylor Rapp had an interception in this ball game as well. The positives were the ground game. They ran like a freight train in this game, and they controlled ball control in this ball game. And that's what the Bills are good at, and they've been good at all year, is ball control football. After week 4 and onward, that has been their memo. Ball control football, Josh Allen playing lights out, scoring at will, and being a menace to society. And that's been their game plan on offense the whole time. And that is what you got to keep an eye on if you are playing against the Buffalo Bills. 200 total yards, 416 for the Ravens, 273 for the Bills. The Ravens beat them on paper, by the way. 240 yards passing compared to the Bills, 126. 176 rushing for the Ravens, 147 rushing for the Bills. 7.3 yards per play compared to the 4.6 yards per play against the Bills. So let's talk about their third down efficiency. 5 for 11 on third downs. Not bad, not too good, but I'll put that in as a positive circle moment for this team. 100% on fourth down, positive circle moment for the Bills. Defensively and turnovers wise, positive circle moment for the Bills. They got 2 sacks. They had 3 turnovers in this game, the Ravens did, and the Bills got them on that. So the Bills got 2 sacks on defense and 3 turnovers, and the Bills defense came alive in this ball game and in critical moments. And they slowed down the rush in the first half. So I will give them that, and that is a positive circle moment for this team. They played physical on defense then. The rushing started getting to them late a little bit, but I think that they did enough to get the win, and those were the positive circle moments. I think if you want to look at some negatives, I think putting your foot on the gas pedal the whole time. I think for 60 minutes of ball, you got to play your best football for 60 minutes, and especially coming up Sunday night, you have to do that. Especially against the Chiefs and Arrowhead, you have to do that. And I think that you have to keep going with ball security and ball control in this game. Keep on with your game plan. I think not letting your foot off the gas pedal is huge, though, and that's what the Bills have to do. I think that's a big negative circle moment for this team, and they got to clean that up. I think they got to slow down the run for 60 minutes of football and ball control the ball. That is it for the Bills. The Bills did good. They didn't play bad. They played physical and tough, and they got the win against the Ravens Sunday night. Now, this coming up Sunday night, they got the Chiefs and Arrowhead for the AFC Championship game. Allen Mahomes, Volume 4 in the playoff. Let's see who does it and goes to the Super Bowl. The big question is, can Allen get over the hump in the playoffs? And that is what we have been talking about for years and years, and we're going to get onto that here later on in the show. 27-25, the Bills defeat the Ravens in this ball game. The Ravens were marching back in this game. They scored late, touchdown by Lamar Jackson, and they connected with a touchdown late. And then with a likely touchdown, and then Mark Andrews ended up dropping the 2-point conversion. Everybody is hating on Mark Andrews. I understand because of the fumble and the drops and all that, they have missed huge, heartbreaking, costly 2-point conversion dropped, and it sealed the game. They had to kick an onside as I drop my pen. Got it. And then they ended up dropping it, and they ended up getting the onside, missing the onside, and the Bills win the game that way. Let's talk about Lamar Jackson. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 254 yards, 18 for 25. Derrick Henry had a touchdown, 84 yards, 16 carries. Justice Hill had 50 yards, 6 carries. Lamar Jackson had 39 yards, 6 carries. Isaiah Likely, 73 yards, a touchdown, 4 receptions. Rashad Bateman, 66 yards, a touchdown, 4 receptions. Mark Andrews, 61 yards, 5 receptions. He had a fumble in this game. Wallace, 27 yards. Miller, 16 yards. Defensively, they played good. Hamilton had 9 total tackles. Harrison had 7 total tackles. Roquan Smith had 8 total tackles. Robinson had 4 total tackles. Nate Wiggins had 4 total tackles. Manabuke had 7 total tackles and half a sack. Humphrey had 4 total tackles. Defensively, they look good. They look good on the ground. They look good passing the ball. Total yards, they look good. And they were moving the ball at will, and especially in the second half in this game. The Ravens were trying to control some of their own destiny with the clock as well by running the ball. Derrick Henry started getting some momentum in the ground going again, along with Lamar Jackson. They were the number one rushing team this season for a reason, back-to-back years. And they did good, especially on third down. 7 for 10 on third down. They converted a lot on third down. Epic positive moment for this team, rushing the ball and running the football. Lamar Jackson, all of it. Positive circle moments on the ground for sure. They did their best and fought until the end. I will tell you some negative circle moments in this game. It was 5 penalties, 43 yards, 3 turnovers. The drops were insane. And I will say 2 sacks allowed did not help either. I think the 2 sacks, you can kind of minimize that. But the drops and the turnovers were crucial in this game. And I said on X, I was like, you cannot do this. You cannot keep turning the ball over. And they did. Andrews had a fumble. Lamar Jackson had an interception. He also had a fumble in this game as well. It was almost a scoop and score. So 2 fumbles, 1 pick by Tyler Rapp. And it was just crucial. And then the drops in this game were unbelievable. Andrews, Bateman, Wallace, they all had drops, and likely they all had drops in this game, and it was tough. It was tough for them to get in when it counted, right? And convert on drives and capitalize on certain plays when it mattered, and it hurt. It really did. It hurt this team. I think self-inflicted wounds hurt this team. I'm not saying the Ravens beat themselves. I think the Bills had a heck of a game, but I think the Ravens could have probably had a chance to come back and win the game if it wasn't for the drops and if it wasn't for the turnovers. They caught up to them at the very end. And I think this is a good football team. They will be back. Everyone's saying, oh, Andrews is this, he's that. Don't hate on Andrews. It wasn't just on Andrews. I think the drops and the turnovers, part of it was Andrews, yes, but it's a team sport. And this is what it is with football. It's a team sport. It's an overall team sport for this, for the league, and that's everybody. It's not just an individual thing. Lamar was just as much to blame as Andrews was, as was Likely and Bateman and Wallace and everybody. Harbaugh, everybody is to blame. It's a team effort. Coaching, players. It's a team sport. So stop hating on Mark Andrews. Please stop with the Mark Andrews slander, because it's not just him. Lamar had a fumble too. So we're gonna blame everything on Andrews. Oh, he had a fumble and a drop but Lamar had a fumble, but it's not on you, Lamar. It's not on you. It's on everybody else. That's not how you think in football. And for all the media saying that, get that out of your head, because it's wrong. It's on the Ravens. The Ravens lost this game because of them losing as a team, not because of what Mark Andrews did. Oh, Lamar, you didn't have a bad game. Lamar fumbled the ball. Lamar threw a pick. He is just as much to blame as the others. I'm not saying, okay, Lamar's bad and all this. Everybody has bad games. Everybody loses, but we lose as a team. We win as a team, and we lose as a team. That's the message I'm trying to convey here. So the final score of this game was 27-25. The Ravens go home, and they look on and ponder what could have been in a lot of ways. 27-25, the Bills go on to Arrowhead for the AFC Championship game. The Ravens, are they going to win a Super Bowl with Lamar? I think they will eventually. I really do. I think it's going to happen. because this team's too good and Lamar is too good of a quarterback to not win one. So final score is 27-25. The Ravens will be back. I wholeheartedly believe that. It's just Josh Allen and the Bills' time right now. AFC Championship game, 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central, Bills at Chiefs for the AFC title game, Volume 4 of Mahomes and Allen in the quarterback rivalry in the playoffs. Let's talk about the controversial game to end it. Chiefs, Texans to end the divisional round recap and go on to our segue of the rest, because this one was a heated game throughout everybody. And Chiefs fans will be like, no, what are you talking about? It was fair. It was fair in some ways. Refs missed a lot of calls, and we're going to discuss that. I said the Chiefs were going to win. I thought they were going to run away with it in the fourth quarter. I came close on the score, not really close, but I came close enough, and I was right. The Chiefs ran away with it in the fourth quarter. 23 Chiefs, Texans 14. The Chiefs go to the AFC Championship game, their sixth straight AFC Championship game. Their sixth straight AFC Championship game. 6 straight appearances in the AFC Championship game. Somebody called it the Mahomes Invitational, which was pretty funny, but it's their 6th straight appearance. This is since 2011. The AFC Championship game has not had a team that did not feature the Patriots or the Chiefs. So Brady and Mahomes have owned the AFC since 2011, and it's been absolutely insane. That's a mind-boggling stat. It's all true. You can look it up. Arrowhead, once again, 2024 AFC Championship game, Bills at Chiefs, Sunday night, 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central on CBS with Tony Romo and Jim Nance on the call Sunday night. Let's talk about this game, though. Chiefs are inevitable, and I've said that. They are on the verge of history as well. Chasing three-peat, chasing destiny, doing something that no one has ever done before, and that's three-peat and go back-to-back in Super Bowl championships in NFL history. Tom Brady has never done that either. So Mahomes will probably submit himself in the GOAT conversation for sure if they win in New Orleans and if they get past Josh Allen and the Bills to go to the Super Bowl. 3 straight Super Bowl appearances. Now, teams have gone 3 straight times. They have not won 3 straight times. So we will see what happens there. Okay. Let's talk about this game, though. Chiefs played good on defense for sure. 8 sacks in this ball game. 8 sacks on C.J. Stroud. They won the line of scrimmage battle in a lot of ways. They were physical on defense, and the defense was a positive circle moment in this game. Defense played really, really good. 8 sacks. It's unheard of. If you want to talk about one particular player in general, George Karlaftis was an animal. He had 3 of those sacks in this ball game, and he looked good on defense. So did Reed, so did Cook, so did Hicks, so did Chris Jones, McDuffie. They all played lights out in this ball game. The key players on defense needed to step up for this team, and defensively, they did. Epic game plan for the defense. We're not saying anything about the defense in this game. Offensively, Mahomes had 177 yards, a touchdown, 16 for 25. Kareem Hunt, 44 yards, 8 carries, and a touchdown. Pacheco had 18 yards. Mahomes had 7 carries, 14 yards on the ground. Travis Kelce, 117 yards, 7 receptions, and a touchdown. Kelce has arrived in the playoffs finally, and he has had his best game all year. Xavier Worthy, 45 yards, 5 receptions. Noah Gray, 13 yards, 3 receptions. Hunt had 2 yards. Everybody else had 0. So Kelce had his best game throughout the year. He stepped up when they needed him to. The offense played good. Mahomes played good. And the Chiefs were really, really good in this ball game. Not saying that. They are a good football team, and they deserve the win. They played good, and they played better and out-physicaled the Texans in this game. Defensively, won the line of scrimmage battle. They dominated C.J. Stroud. And got 8 sacks, and he couldn't in the offensive line, could not hold that defensive line and couldn't hold that defense, especially George Karlaftis. That was tough. Chiefs played good in this game. But let me tell you something else. The Texans fought, and they fought hard in this game. Because let me tell you something also. The Texans, beat them in every statistical category in this ball game. Imagine that. 336 total yards compared to the Chiefs' 212 total yards. 187 passing compared to the Chiefs' 162. 149 rushing compared to the Chiefs' 50. They only had 50 rushing yards on the ground. 5.2 yards per play compared to their 4.2 yards per play. Joe Mixon had a field day on the ground against this Chiefs defense. The Chiefs have to clean that rushing defense up. So let's talk about some positive circle moments. Chiefs defense, positive circle moment, 8 total sacks. Unbelievable. 8 sacks. Josh Allen's got some work to the Bills' offensive line, and Josh Allen had some work to do against this Chiefs defense, especially with 8 sacks. Unbelievable. Passing in Mahomes and Kelsey, that duo were unbelievable. Positive circle moments. They eating up yards, through the air. They won that game. Unbelievable pass by Patrick Mahomes with falling down and then throwing it to Kelsey. Unbelievable by Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey late in that game. So it's plays like that the Bills have to watch out for. Unbelievable for the Chiefs on that. Now, you're thinking, dude, you are just unbelievably all over and just all over praising the Chiefs. I am on those areas, but let me talk to you about some things why the Chiefs could lose. Offensive line, they were having some trouble. Now, I will say 3 sacks allowed is pretty good for what it's worth, because the Chiefs offensive line has allowed more than that. I think the Chiefs offensive line needs to still get better, because a lot of because Mahomes was getting the ball away and throwing the ball away. The defense was getting a lot of pressure on Mahomes. And the Bills, that's a key for the Bills' defensive line, and that's something that the offensive line and Mahomes has to watch out for Sunday night. The Texans' defensive line was getting all over Mahomes in this ball game. Offensive line is their weakness, and I still think it's their weakness to this day. The offensive line did not play the best this past Sunday. Even though they only allowed 3 sacks, it was better than their normal. They still got a lot of pressure put on them, and it was tough. So they got to watch out for that Sunday night. Doesn't matter what stadium they're in. 4 for 11 on third down. Got to clean that up. You got to convert on third down, especially against a team like the Bills. It is going to be tough. That's a negative circle moment this past weekend. You got to get better at that. 4.2 yards per play and 50 rushing yards on the ground. Got to get better at that. Got to get better at that. You have to run the ball better, and you got to get some more yards per play in general. So they got to clean that up. Those are some negative circle moments for the Chiefs. Let me tell you something about these penalties, though. 4 penalties, 29 yards for the Chiefs. 8 penalties and 82 yards for this game. You know what? We'll talk about that in the next segue to this segment. Penalties and officiating was god-awful in this game. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. 23-14 was the final score. Chiefs play the Bills in Arrowhead. Like I said, 6:30, 5:30 Central on CBS. Bills at Chiefs in the playoff rematch. Allen versus Mahomes, playoff number 4 for them. Let's see what happens in this ball game. Curious to see it. Ready to see it. Let's go for the AFC Championship spot for the Super Bowl on the line. Can the Chiefs try to continue their quest for a 3-peat, or will the Bills cut their season short in the AFC Championship on Sunday? Let's talk about the Texans really quick and what they did right before we move on and talk about the rest and the coaching hires and the injury report and the games for Sunday. Let's talk about the Texans. C.J. Stroud did his absolute best. 245 yards, 19 for 28. 42 yards on the ground, 6 carries. Joe Mixon, 88 yards, a touchdown, 18 carries. Dameon Pierce, 10 yards, 4 carries. Nico Collins was a madman against this defense. 81 yards, 5 receptions. Dalton Schultz was 2, 63 yards, 4 receptions. Xavier Hutchinson, 52 yards, 4 receptions. John Mechie, 35 yards, 2 receptions. Joe Mixon, 12 yards, 2 receptions in this game. Will Anderson, 2 sacks and 4 total tackles. Murray, 4 total tackles. Bryant had 4 total tackles. Miles Bryant, 4 total tackles. Derek Stingley Jr., 3 total tackles. Al Shire, 6 total tackles. Daniil Hunter, 4 total tackles. Henry To'o had 7 total tackles. And this defense was all over him. Kamari Lassiter played a good game as well. Positive circle moments was the ground game. Joe Mixon and was great. C.J. Stroud on the ground was great. C.J. Stroud was playing hard and finding open men down the field, and I think those were some positive circle moments there. I think those were some good positive circle moments for Mixon and Stroud, creating those explosive running plays and running lanes on the ground. I think those are some positive circle moments there. Nico Collins was a positive circle moment. Creating those big chunk plays were positives, and they played hard on that. I think defensively they played really, really good as well. They got Mahomes and the Chiefs on some crucial stops. They just couldn't capitalize. And I think the defense played hard, and those were some positive circle moments there. They got to Mahomes 3 times. More than that, if it wasn't for penalties. Aggravating. And we're going to talk about that. But amongst that, they played good in those ways, and they showed some heart. Now, some 10 for 17 on positive. That's a positive circle moment. 10 for 17, third down efficiency. 8 penalties for 82 yards, a negative circle moment. Got to clean that up. Not capitalizing on your drives were crucial. Those were some negative circle moments. What the Chiefs did, they didn't capitalize on. I'm sorry, what the Texans did, they didn't capitalize on a lot of circle moments there. Kai Fairbairn missed a field goal. Special teams were negatives because they missed PATs when they shouldn't have. They went all the way down. They ate up pretty much the majority of the third quarter for a Mixon touchdown, and they missed the PAT. Not a very good look there. Horrible look, and they missed out there. Negative circle moments for this team. I think what the Texans need to work on are capitalizing on their drives, especially during the offseason and when they go into OTAs and training camp for July and August. They need to work on finishing up plays and drives. I think the offensive line needs to get beefed up. I think that's a need in the draft and a need in free agency, is beefing up and adding some more depth to their O-line to protect C.J. Stroud. I mean, 8 sacks. You allowed 8 sacks in this game. George Karlaftis had 3 alone. That is rough. You have to do better at protecting C.J. Stroud and winning and getting past the divisional round of the playoffs. This is a good team, and this is a good quarterback. I think the future is bright in Houston, and Houston's going to be a team to be reckoned with, a force to be reckoned with in the AFC. If they can beef up that O-line defensively, they're a bunch of savages, and they are rightfully so praised on what they've done on defense. They just have to beef up that O-line. They got to get that cleaned up, and I cannot wait to see what they do during the offseason with the draft and during free agency. Final score of this game was 23-14. Texans go to the offseason after a tough season they have had, and the Chiefs go on to Arrowhead Sunday night to play in the AFC Championship, their 6th straight AFC Championship appearance Sunday night. That was the divisional round recap, and we're going to move on to the preview predictions, the injury report, coaching changes, and we're going to move on to that. But before we do that, let's talk about the officiating in the National Football League, because it makes me sick. It makes me sick, and that is our segue to our next segment here. I was watching the game Saturday with the Chiefs and the Texans, and I saw the calls that were being made. The Chiefs were getting away with holding calls. They were getting away with offsides. And a lot of the media, if y'all want to call me out on it, bring on the freaking heat, because I'm ready for it. They got away with a lot of calls. A lot of calls. And then we saw 2 calls out egregious, by the way, egregious calls with horrible calls on Patrick Mahomes. And we saw a roughing the passer with Will Anderson. Hands were at the chest. Face mask was closer to the chest. It wasn't roughing the passer, but they called it on it anyway. Mahomes was in the process of sliding. They tackled him while he was sliding. And it was with a shoulder. It wasn't near the chest or the head. It was a shoulder tackle. And they threw a flag for unnecessary roughness, an automatic first down and 15 yards. That's crap. And it makes me mad. It ticks me off. It really does. It makes me mad. You can't have calls like that in playoff games like that. And the Chiefs, and I'm not going to blame the Chiefs. I'm not saying the Chiefs are in it or in on it or whatever, but it's shady because the Chiefs have had games like this in playoffs and in moments like this for the past couple of years now. Don't tell me they haven't, because they've had. Patrick Mahomes said earlier today, and I quote, as we talk about it and get some notes on it, on X. I will put it up on here for everybody for this. It was horrible. The refs, the calls were just awful. And what he said on the refs. And I quote on this. This is, reported from his post. This is from his pregame, his weekly presser. And this was from NFL and CBS reported this on X. Quote, on the refs, protection from the refs, and the Chiefs getting extra protection from the refs, including Mahomes. I don't feel that way. The referees are doing their best to call the games as fair and as proper as they possibly can. Do I believe that? Maybe? Sure. But you can't tell me that those calls were a little bit rough. Now let's backtrack a year and let's rewind the clock back a year. Remember when the Chiefs had an offensive offside with Kadarius Toney? Arrowhead, it was last year in the 2023 season against the Bills. And Josh Allen and the Bills beat him at Arrowhead in the regular season. The Chiefs said, horrible. And Mahomes was going up to Allen and saying that was one of the worst, offensive offsides, that was one of the worst calls I've ever seen in my expletive life. Got it on camera, got it on tape. It's on there. Go and look it up if need be. And he complained about the refs midfield and after the post-game presser. Now the stance has been changed when the Chiefs get defended on two calls that were not unnecessary roughness, but it was toward their favor. And now we're all defending them. So here's my stance on it. One, we need full-time officials. I've said that from the beginning. We need full-time officials. We have to clear that up. That's number one. Two, you really need to get your stance right on it if you're the Chiefs. Because honestly, it's making yourselves look really, really shady and really bad. That's number two. You have to get right on that. Change your stance on it. When there's a call that it's clear and obvious that you're going to take the calls when you get them. Obviously, you want to win the game. If it's going to go your way, it's going to go your way. You're going to do everything you possibly can to win the game. But you got to be upfront about it. You can't sit there and say, we want to win the games as fair as possible. Well, win the game as fair as possible. Win it on the field with talent. Don't win it on the field with the referee and the zebra stripe shirts and the yellow marker being thrown on the field. You have to win it fair. Because you're saying one thing and you're saying, okay, we want to win the game as fair as possible. We want to win the game our way. We don't want to win the game with the help of the refs. We want to win the game outright. Well, go ahead and win the game outright. Go and do it. Because if you're not going to go and do it, and the refs are going to come in and have some extra help, and they're going to, throw the flags, and when there's horrible calls on the field, and they're missing calls on the Chiefs. The Chiefs are doing holdings and a lot of stuff on the field that they're getting away with in Arrowhead. You have to clean that up, and you got to get that right. You got to quit that because it's making yourselves look bad. Am I accusing the Chiefs being in on it? No, I'm not accusing the Chiefs of anything. I'm not accusing the refs. I'm not accusing anything. But it's just a little bit shady, isn't it? It's a little bit shady. I will say that. I'm gonna say what everybody else is thinking on that. It is a little bit shady. But no, I'm not accusing the Chiefs. I'm not accusing the refs. All I'm saying is the refs have not been good. We need full-time officials. Roger Goodell, I am pleading with you to get full-time officials. We have enough money for these officials, don't we? We have to have it in the budget. Get full-time officials. That is what I want in the NFL. That is what I want across football. We need full-time officiating to save us from calls like that will determine the results and outcomes of playoff games, especially playoff games and football games in general. That's my rant on it. If you like what you heard, if you want to comment on it, comment on YouTube down below, subscribe, like the episode, and comment down below. You can also comment on X, because this will be clipped into a reel. You can comment on Instagram, and you can go to @Pigskin_Frenzy on both and comment on the referee situation on that. But that is my take. I am not going against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. I have nothing but praise for them and nothing but love for Kansas City and the Chiefs Kingdom. But you cannot defend this, and you cannot say that these calls were right and fair, because these calls were not fair, they're not right, and they were not good calls. You can't say that, but you got to say it if it's going to favor you to win the game. So I'm not accusing anybody. I'm not saying anything, but we do need full-time officials in the National Football League. So it worries me about the game itself and the safety of teams itself. So what do you guys think? Comment down below, like, follow on all platforms, X, Instagram, at Pigskin_Frenzy, Pigskin_Frenzy, and YouTube. Follow, subscribe, like, and comment on each episode and on the situation there. Let's talk about the Pigskin Frenzy NFL injury report, and let's talk about who's in and who's out. We only got one for the injury report. Only one. And we're going to talk about that now. Jalen Hurts. He is expected to play. He had a knee injury in the Rams game. Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts' knee, he's most likely will play through the knee injury against the Commanders. He was limited today, or limited for both days, and he will play. Most likely will play with a brace Sunday against the Commanders in the NFC Championship game. Thoughts and prayers with Jalen Hurts, and thoughts and prayers with him on this list, and hopefully he heals quite nicely and he is ready to go Sunday for this game. That's really it. That is the Pigskin Frenzy NFL injury report. And let's move on to these coaching hires, because I want to talk about this, and then we'll preview and predict the games for Sunday night. Let's talk about the coaching changes, and let's go out to Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears have found their guy. The Chicago Bears have hired Lions and now former Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson as their next head coach. Ben Johnson finally lands a head coaching job a year and a half in the making. Ben Johnson is the offensive coordinator was the OC for the Lions, but now is the head coach for the Chicago Bears. And it is the division rival, NFC North Chicago Bears, for the Lions. So Lions faithful is hurt about this. They're mad. Here is my thing. Yes, way to keep the rivalry alive. I'm glad you guys were keeping the rivalry alive in this one. But let's talk about this for a second, and let's discuss this. Number one, the man's got to get a head coaching job. And let's far be it from him to land a head coaching job, right? Number two, you have to figure out a way to get your offensive play calling in order for next year and get everything going staff-wise. I believe that Dan Campbell can do it. He's done it before with Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, and he will find a way to do it now. Just trust the process, and if you are confident with the players and the coaching staff and the staff you got internally, go out there and prove Ben Johnson that you are the better team in the NFC North. Far be it from him. I agree that you're keeping the rivalry alive, but you can't fault him from going to the Chicago Bears and getting a head coaching job. That's my only take on that. Now, is Ben Johnson a good hire for the Chicago Bears? Now, track record and play calling and what he's done with the Lions in the past 2 years, yeah, it's a pretty good hire. Back-to-back NFC North champion with the Lions, and he brought them to the NFC Championship. He brought them to the NFC Divisional Round this year. So, yeah, pretty good hire. Assistant of the year in a lot of ways, and he's done really, really good with the Detroit Lions. Top 5 offense with the Detroit Lions in back-to-back years in scoring. Jared Goff, unbelievable. Amon-Ra St. Brown, offensive line, everything's been good. Play calling wise, had top 5 in rushing, top 5 in passing offense, top 5 offense total, and he has been electrifying in scoring points this season. So Ben Johnson at play calling and wizardry and statistically on offense has been lights out for this team. So Chicago, yeah, it's a home run hire for a lot of good reasons. One, look who's at quarterback. You got Caleb Williams, the number 1 draft pick for the 2024 NFL Draft. He's a solid playmaker, and he has made some solid explosive plays through the air and on his feet. At quarterback, Caleb Williams has got a lot of progressing that he needs to do, but he can do that with Ben Johnson and a lot of the play calls that they are going to call. You got a loaded receiver room with Roma Dunze, with Keenan Allen, with DJ Moore. Oh baby, you got DeAndre Swift at running back. You have a lot of the pieces that you're going to put together offensively and coach and defensively and coaching wise there. Defensively, you got a good staff. You got good staff on defense with with Jonathan we got with Jonathan Owens. You have Jermaine Edmonds there. You got TJ Edwards there on defense. You got a lot of good linebacker core there. Defensively are good on the front. They're good on defensive line. They're good on defensive line at linebacker. They're good at linebacker there. They're good at corner secondary. They just need. And they got good receivers, they got good quarterback, good running back. They need an O-line. The only thing that the Bears need is an O-line. You put an O-line with them, and you focus O-line heavy in the free agency and in the NFL draft. And focus on veteran O-linemen and solid new O-linemen for the future of this franchise. This team will compete in the NFC next year, and it's going to be a drastic change for the NFC and the NFC North coming up this year. So it's a home run hire in a lot of ways. Now let's see if they can go prove it. Let's see if Ben Johnson can prove it. A lot of good pieces are there. Let's see if Ben Johnson can do it. Thumbs up. That's all you got to do is thumbs up for Ben Johnson and this organization and for hiring him, home run hire for the Chicago Bears. Let's talk about the other hires there. The New York Jets have hired Lions DC and former Lions DC now, Aaron Glenn, to be their next head coach. Is it a home run hire? I think so. Defensively, I think so in a lot of ways. Leader-wise, he's a great leader. He's a motivational leader. He's a good guy off the field and on the field. He knows how to coach defensively besides one area, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. He knows how to put the staff together, and he knows how to let the offense be the offense and let the offense call the plays. Now, he's going to put up a good staff together. He's already assembling a good staff and good leadership for front office for Woody Johnson, and he is going to try to turn around the Jets and reshape their culture in New York. So if anybody can reshape a culture in New York and reshape a foundation and build a foundation for what the Jets could be, it's former player for the Jets, Aaron Glenn, and he is a good leader and a strong defensive mind for this team. You already got some good pieces on defense with Quentin Williams, with Will McDonald, with Sauce Gardner there on defense. Is Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams going to come back? The future is unknown on those two, but you've got a lot of good pieces on offense. Assemble an offensive staff, and then the Jets could be on the rebound and on the mend for changing their future. The only thing that Aaron Glenn has to work on as a head coach and defensively as well is to learn how to stop a mobile quarterback. That is what he needs to do. He's going to be in the AFC now, so he's going to be seeing Baltimore. He's going to be seeing Cincinnati more. He's going to be seeing Josh Allen more. He's going to be seeing guys who can get on the ground and run the ball at quarterback, and he's going to be seeing those guys a lot more often. So he's got to figure out a way to slow down a mobile and dynamic quarterback on the feet and blending it in with a balanced passing attack. So let's see what Aaron Glenn does. I'm excited about it. Is it a home run hire? I think when it comes to leadership and setting a foundation for a team and reshaping a culture, I believe that it is a home run hire in that regard. So we will see what happens. The Jets have hired Aaron Glenn as their next head football coach. Let's talk about one more thing here, or two more things here. The Patriots have hired Raiders head coach, or former Raiders head coach, and former Patriots OC, Josh McDaniel, to come back as their offensive coordinator. So Josh McDaniel back as their offensive coordinator. He's going to coach Drake May and build some pieces around Drake May on offense along with Mike Vrabel. Give it time. Give it patience. This hire may work. It may not. Who knows? It may be, okay, it's the thing of the past, because Josh McDaniel was really, really good with Tom Brady, but who is not going to be good with Tom Brady? He's the greatest of all time. But it could be a good hire for the Drake May and the Patriots if they get the right pieces around and analysts around Josh McDaniel, and the plays are good. So let's just see how it builds. Let's get the right offensive minds and the right pieces around Drake May on offense in the draft, in free agency, and let's see what they can cook up with in training camp, OTAs, and during the season. So Mike Vrabel hires Josh McDaniel as their return as their offensive coordinator in New England. Last but not least, let's talk about this one, because this one's quite interesting. Before we move on to the preview and predictions of the conference championships, the Bengals have interviewed and have hired, and he has accepted the job. This was yesterday. Have hired Al Golden from Notre Dame, defensive coordinator for Notre Dame, as their next defensive coordinator. So Al Golden is going to back to the NFL. He is going to be a familiar face around Cincy. He is going to be their defensive coordinator for them. He is back with the Bengals, and he is ready to go as their defensive coordinator. Now, they run a lot of man. Credit to @BuckeyeNatty on X for telling me that. He is the source, and all credit goes to him for telling me this. They run a lot of man because he is a kind of on the inside for Cincinnati for this. So all credit goes to him for this. They run a lot of man. Do they have the guys to play man? He says no, and I'm inclined to agree with him a lot. Trey Hendrickson is a good player. They just got to get a lot of good guys on the edge and better guys on the edge. Or let Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson learn on the edge how to play man better from the edge spot. So we will see what happens there. They run a lot of cover zero. Let's see if the Bengals can run a lot of cover zero and be more physical up front and be more physical in the linebacker spot and just be a more physical team on defense in general. So I'm curious about the hire. I don't know if it's a home run hire or not. It's one of those things that you got to wait and see come September. So let's wait and see come September. Let's see what the moves they make on defense during the offseason and during the free agency and draft for sure. So they have hired Al Gordon to be their next defensive coordinator in Cincinnati for the Bengals. That was the coaching changes. Let's now preview and predict the conference championships and Sunday games for this weekend. Preview and predictions right here on Pigskin Frenzy of the games we're covering. Let's kick it off with the NFC Championship game in Philadelphia. Let's talk about it. Philadelphia, Sunday, 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 Central on Fox for the NFC Championship. Commanders at Eagles. The Commanders are 14-5. The Eagles are 16-3. The Eagles played the Commanders in Week 11, defeated them 26-18 at home on November 14th. The Commanders defeated the Eagles 36-33 in Week 16 at home on December 22nd. So something has to give for these teams. Let's see what happens. I picked against the Commanders twice. Shame on me. I've also picked against the Eagles in the past, and shame on me. So something's got to give here in this game. Who's going to win between the third game between the two? Super Bowl 59 trip is on the line in 2.5 to 3 weeks. Let's go. I'm excited. Let's kick it off with the Commanders' keys in this one. Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Brady's on the call. Super Bowl 59 on Fox is in 2.5 weeks. Trip is on the line. No rookie quarterback has started the Super Bowl and has even won a Super Bowl. So let's see if Jaden Daniels can make some history here. Number one for the Commanders, you got to force some turnovers. 5 turnovers were forced versus the Lions. If you can do that against the Eagles, you have a shot at winning this ball game and most likely will win this ball game. So force 5 turnovers. If you can force some turnovers in this ball game, you have a shot at winning this game Sunday afternoon. So if you can do that, you're good. Number 2, find a way to contain Saquon Barkley. You can't slow him down, but you can find a way to contain him. It's going to be hard, so that's a key there. Find a way to contain him a little bit and try to beat them and make them beat you through the air because they have struggled passing the football. So if you can try to make them beat you through the air, you have a strong shot at winning this game Sunday afternoon in Philadelphia. Number 3, Jaden Daniels has to have a breakout game in this one. If he can't have a breakout game and the Eagles defense just kind of smothers them, then the Eagles will win. But Jaden Daniels is calm, poised, collected. He's not acting like the moment phases him. He's not worried about the NFC Championship pressure. He's not worried about the Super Bowl pressure. He is worried about the next play. He has said that. Any place, any time, anywhere. That is the Commander's motto, and he has been living by that. If Jaden Daniels has a breakout game, the Eagles could be in trouble Sunday afternoon. Those are the Commanders' keys. Let's see what the Eagles' keys have in store here. Number 1 for the Eagles, obviously, establish the running game with Saquon Barkley. Let Saquon Barkley cook. Let him go for 200-plus rushing yards on the ground and let him cook. It's going to be hard to stop Saquon when he's going for that, and it's going to be hard to stop the Eagles from winning the game like that. So establish the running game with Saquon Barkley on the ground there. Number 2, have a balanced passing attack. It's crucial in this game. If they do somehow contain him a little bit, Jalen Hurts has to get the throwing game going with Goddard, with Brown, and with Smith. He's got to get it going. If he cannot get it going and they contain him and contain Barkley on the ground, then the Commanders are going to have a field day with the Eagles. The Eagles have to have some sort of balanced passing attack to probably win this game Sunday afternoon. Number 3, you got to find a way to get to Jaden Daniels. Find a way to cause some pressure to where the pocket can collapse, get some sacks, make him force some turnovers, especially. It's going to be hard, but find a way to get to him and contain him a little bit to win this ball game. It's a must because Jaden Daniels has been a lights-out player in this playoff so far on the way to the NFC Championship game. Those are the keys for the Eagles this Sunday afternoon. So some questions that I got for both teams. One for the Commanders, can Jaden Daniels have a breakout game and not act like the moment phases him? I think Jaden Daniels has got to keep playing the way he's been playing all season and the way he's been playing against the Bucs and the Lions. He's got to have that balanced passing attack and just lights out throwing and some good decision making like he's been in the past 2 games and not let the pressure get to him. Number 2, can that passing attack get to the Eagles defense? The Eagles defense has been lights out through the pass. Throughout the playoffs, can the passing attack get through to the Eagles there against Vic Fangio? That's number 2. Number 3, can they find a way to can force turnovers? And number 4, can they find a way to slowly contain Saquon Barkley? If they can do that, maybe they can win the game. Number 1 for the Eagles, can Saquon just have a lights-out game to where they don't even need to pass the ball? Number 2, if that containment with Saquon Barkley happens on the ground, are they going to have enough to throw the ball? That is a big question that I got for the Eagles. Are they going to have enough to throw the ball? That's number 1. Number 2. Number 3. Can they get to Jaden Daniels and pressure him and let this moment not be too big? That's number 3 for the Eagles in this one. Who do I got winning this ball game? I was so conflicted on this game. I picked against the Eagles so much in this game. And Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts have proved me wrong each time. I love me some Saquon. He's my favorite running back right now in the league. He is the best running back in the league, bar none right now. Jaden Daniels has proved me wrong also. Every time I picked against Jaden Daniels, they have won. He has proved me wrong, and they have been a team that has been forced to be reckoned with in this playoffs, and Jaden Daniels is on the verge of making history in this. Jaden Daniels has played lights out. He's had breakout games. It's any time, any place, anywhere for these group of guys, for Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury, and what a turnaround it's been for this Commanders team, going from second in the draft to the NFC Championship game with their roster, with their talent, with their coaching staff, a complete turnaround. One of the best stories in football. It is hard to pick against Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts. It is hard to pick against them right now. But when I look and I've seen what's been going on with Jalen Hurts, with Jaden Daniels, and how electrifying he's been with this offense and passing the ball with Terry McLaurin and Diami Brown and Zach Ertz, they've been kind of killing me too. And it's hard to pick against them. I think this game's going to be close. It's going to go down to the wire. Guys, I think Saquon is going to be good. He's going to get his yards. I think the passing attack and the mismanagement of passing for this offense, they're going to contain Saquon a little bit and just enough. They're going to mismanage the pass. It's finally going to catch up to the Eagles here. I'm going with the upset. I think the Commanders are going to do it close, and they're going to come out with the NFC Championship and go to their first Super Bowl in the past 30-plus years. The Commanders get the Eagles and win their first NFC title game in the first time in their 30-plus year span of not being in it. Jaden Daniels makes history. The Commanders win 26-23. Commanders 26, Eagles 23. Zane Gonzalez kicks a game-winning field goal, game-winning drive by Jaden, and the Commanders upset the Eagles in the NFC Championship in Philadelphia to move on to Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. And Jaden Daniels makes history of being the first ever rookie quarterback to start a Super Bowl. Commanders 26, Eagles 23, giving the Commanders to make history, win the NFC Championship, and complete an epic turnaround by appearing in the Super Bowl. Commanders get it done, and they win the NFC Championship and win the NFC against the Eagles. Bold pick, but we're going to find out Sunday if I get it right. AFC Championship, Sunday night, 6:30 Eastern, 5:30 Central on CBS. Jim Nantz, and Tony Romo are calling it there. Bills at Chiefs in Arrowhead. Volume 4, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. This is football. This is what football is all about, ladies and gentlemen. Can Josh Allen get over the hump? That is the only question. That is a big question that we got. Can Josh Allen get over the hump against the Chiefs? Now he's 4-1 against Mahomes in the regular season. He is lights out against head-to-head in the regular season against Patrick Mahomes. Now in the playoffs, Patrick Mahomes is 3-0 against Josh Allen. He's undefeated against him. He has won every time. The Chiefs, the playoff Chiefs, are different than regular season Chiefs. They are inevitable in the playoffs. And a shot at the three-peat is on the line. So the big questions are, can they get over the hump and beat Patrick Mahomes and upset them in Arrowhead to go to the Super Bowl in New Orleans? Or can the Chiefs, who are a 1-point favorite in this game, the Eagles are like a 8-point favorite in that one, the Chiefs in this one are 1-point favorite of the Bills. Can they make history and go and try to continue their history to go and try to be the first team to three-peat and do what Tom Brady and the Patriots and the Dolphins and with Dan Marino and Terry Bradshaw, Joe Montana with the Niners and Terry Bradshaw with the Steelers have not done, and that is win a third straight Super Bowl championship and three-peat. Those are the questions that are being asked in this game. It's all coming to a head. AFC Championship. I'm so excited. Let's get it going here in this one. Ready to go. I'm excited about this football game. A lot of people are rooting for the Bills. The Chiefs are acting like underdogs. They are not underdogs. They are the clear-cut favorites to win this ball game. They are the second best odds to win it all. The Eagles are being favored to win it all now, but right now it's the Chiefs. Let's talk about this game, and let's talk about the Bills' keys and what they need to do to come away with a win here. Number one for the Buffalo Bills, they have to get to Patrick Mahomes. Look, 3 sacks on this line. The offensive line allowed 3 sacks against the Texans. The Bills got 2 on Lamar. They got to get to Patrick Mahomes, and they got to beat out this offensive line on the line of scrimmage. If they can out-physical the line of scrimmage and get to Patrick Mahomes and let those sacks add up, they have a strong shot at walking away with an upset here Sunday night against the Chiefs. Number 2, win the time of possession battle. Ball control has been their thing all year. It has been their thing with the with their game plan and their memo all year. So you have to win the line of scrimmage battle and win that. If you can win that line of scrimmage battle, control the ball and have ball control the whole game and control the clock well and just getting conversion after conversion after conversion and adding up yards to that, they will beat the Chiefs in this ball game, hands down. Number 3, force turnovers. 3 turnovers were forced versus the Ravens. Force some turnovers in this game. Make the Chiefs and make Patrick Mahomes not turn into the playoff Mahomes, and let him turn into regular season Mahomes from this past season, and let him turn the ball over. He turned the ball over against the last game. The Chiefs lost to the Bills 30-21 in Week 11 on November 17th because of some turnovers, and make that happen again in Arrowhead. You got to make that happen against Arrowhead. So force those turnovers. Here are the Chiefs' keys in this one. Number 1, protect Patrick Mahomes. The offensive line needs to step up for the first time throughout this whole season. They need to play their best game on the line throughout this year. 3 sacks allowed versus the Texans. It was more than that in previous games. They have to not make this their downfall for their history-chasing three-peat. They have to protect Patrick Mahomes in this game because the Bills' defensive line is highly underrated. Number 2, get to Josh Allen. I mean, 8 sacks versus the Texans. You have to beat out that offensive line, and you have to get to Josh Allen a lot. If you're George Karlaftis and Chris Jones and Drew Tranquill, guys like that, and Cook, get to them. 8 sacks versus the Texans, that is crazy. This Bills offensive line is going to be a lot better. It's a lot better than the Texans O-line, but you got to try to figure out a way to get to Josh Allen and cause some chaos in that area. You will win if you can get 8 sacks on him in this game. And number 3, win on third down. 4 for 11 on third down versus the Texans. You have to do better in this game because the Bills' third down defense will not let you will fight hard for you to not convert on third down. You have to convert on third down and keep your drives going to win these ball games. It is crucial in this game to win on third down if you are the Chiefs. Question is this. For the Bills, can you pressure Patrick Mahomes? Can you win the line of scrimmage battle? Can you force those turnovers? And can you have ball control? And can you have ball control in this one? Those are the questions that I got for the Bills. If you can do that, you will win this ball game, no doubt. You will get over the hump, and you can do that. If you're the Chiefs, number 1, can you protect Patrick Mahomes? Can you leave it out of the refs' hands? And can you control your game? And can you control your destiny without the refs, with being fair? And is this game going to be fared partially? That's the one question I got for a whole game overall. But if you're the Chiefs, 1, can you control your destiny by winning outright? Can you protect Patrick Mahomes? Can you protect the ball? And can you win on third down? And can you slow down their ball control? Because if you can slow them down on that, then you will win this ball game and you will go to the Super Bowl for a third straight season and try your quest of three-peat in New Orleans if you're the Chiefs. Those are the questions that I got for both teams in this ball game. It's going to be a raucous crowd, hostile crowd. Arrowhead's going to be packed to the nines in Kansas City for the AFC Championship. Big game. Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen, Volume 4. Can Josh Allen get over the hump, or can they go to Super Bowl 59 and try to continue their quest to do something that no team has done ever in league history, and that is three-peat? Who do I got winning this ball game? I was conflicted on both games. I was even more conflicted on this game. Harvey Dent said in The Dark Knight, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. 6 seasons ago in the 2018 AFC Championship game, it was an Arrowhead, and the Patriots were in town against Tom Brady, the mighty Patriots, Tom Brady. Everybody was fans of Patrick Mahomes to try to reach, who was league MVP, by the way, Patrick Mahomes, winning his first ever MVP that season. His first ever season starting at quarterback. We already knew that Mahomes was going to be great then and go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time then, against the mighty GOAT, Tom Brady. Mahomes is 2-2, 0-2, 1-2, or 2-2, I think overall in the regular season, but 0-2 in the playoffs. 0-2 in the playoffs when it counted against the GOAT, Tom Brady. They go into Arrowhead. Everybody was rooting for the Chiefs. Everybody was saying the Patriots are tired of them. We're tired of seeing them win so much. What do the Patriots do? They go into Arrowhead and they beat the Chiefs. And everyone was like, oh, we're tired of it. We're tired of it. We're tired of it. The Chiefs were like, when are we going to win one? Don't worry. 2 years later, you did win one. You go to the Super Bowl against the 49ers, Super Bowl 54, and you win Super Bowl 54. Super Bowl 55, you go against the Buccaneers, and you lost. But you keep winning. You keep going to the AFC Championship each and every year, and you made it to the Super. You missed the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 56. You won your second Super Bowl if you're Patrick Mahomes, in Super Bowl 57 against the Eagles, the Kelsey Brother Bowl there, and then Super Bowl 58 last year against the San Francisco 49ers. You go back-to-back and win the Super Bowl there. Back-to-back champions. The Patriots have done that. Everybody's done that. A lot of people have done that in history. You've won 3 Super Bowls throughout your 6-year run. 3 Super Bowls, and have been to 6 straight AFC title games and have won most of them. And now the Chiefs are being vilified and have become the villain because everyone is tired of seeing them win. They're tired of seeing the Swift and the Taylor Swift and the Hollywood stuff and the refs and all that stuff. The Chiefs are inevitable because they are a good football team. So you cannot take anything away from what Kansas City has done. You cannot take anything away what Patrick Mahomes has done, what Travis Kelce has done. Patrick Mahomes is one of the greatest quarterbacks already of all time. And Travis Kelce is the GOAT of all tight ends. He is the best tight end to ever play a down of football. The Chiefs are one of the the top of the mountain, top of the food chain, and they deserve all the praise in the world and all the media and the hype around them, even though they are glorified as villains in this game. They are a good team. They are inevitable. And would it surprise me to see them win the game? No, it wouldn't. But I think they're going to fall short. I think the Bills are going to do enough in this game to control the ball, control the clock. They're going to get to Mahomes a little bit. I think they're going to pressure Mahomes. I think a turnover will be cost or 2 from this Chiefs offense. And I think the Bills will control their clock and play their brand of football and not let the noise get to them. Give me the Bills to go into Arrowhead, upset the Chiefs, win the AFC Championship, and silence everything. And they get over the hump. Sean McDermott and Josh Allen get over the hump against the Chiefs in the playoffs and finally beat the Chiefs when it matters most to go to the Super Bowl, their first Super Bowl since Jim Kelly took them there. Final score, 28-20. Bills 28, Chiefs 20. The Bills win the AFC Championship to defeat the Chiefs. They end the talk of the three-peat, and the Bills win the AFC Championship and get to the Super Bowl against the Commanders in a Super Bowl 59 showdown where it's a rookie quarterback no rookie quarterback has ever won or started a Super Bowl against Josh Allen, who can he get his due paid finally. So Bills win the AFC Championship and Commanders win the NFC Championship in Pigskin Frenzy's eyes. Am I saying that the Chiefs are done? No, because I think they'll be back in the hunt right next season. I just think that right now the Bills are playing a good brand of football, and they're confident enough to silence everything and to beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead Sunday night. That's not me hating on the Chiefs. I've been praising the Chiefs all the time. But the Bills win this game and win it outright because they are confident to do so. That just about does it for Pigskin Frenzy, guys. A big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some NFL coverage presented by me. Now, after watching it all on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple. All you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X and Instagram at Pigskin_Frenzy. Follow up the pages there. You're going to get episode updates. You're going to get news and highlights from across college and NFL football. You're going to get trivia questions on Instagram stories, going into today's NFL question, as well as all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, the website's www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. There you'll find all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. Home and About Me page, contact info, platforms page, store page, and affiliations page, all that coming soon with Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, big thank you and big shout out to you guys for listening. 4,400 plus listeners on the podcast. We're about to be at 4,500. Big thank you for listening and tuning in every Tuesday and Thursday to the show. We cannot do this without the Lord Jesus and what he has done for us. He is so amazing. God is so good, and we praise him for everything that he has done and blessed us with on this show. Guys, we are praying for you all, and we love you all. So big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday for listening in. We will be back Tuesday for a postseason 2024 college football postseason Q&A. You're going to ask your questions. I'm going to answer them Tuesday on the podcast. Q&A postseason for college football 2024. You're not going to want to miss that Tuesday. And then next Thursday, we'll be back for Conference Frenzy, Conference Championship Sunday Frenzy coverage and recap coverage and Pro Bowl preview and predictions for next week. So you're not going to want to miss anything. Guys, until Tuesday, I'm Joel Norris signing off. We will see you then. For everybody out there, please and always, we're praying for you all. We praise Jesus for this show. We're praying for you all, and we are thankful for you all. As always, stay the course.